Today we're going to look at nested loops. This is the idea of a loop within a loop. Usually one runs horizontally and the other runs vertically. Let's look at the basic loop first, the basic for loop. The way the computer looks at this is while I is less than our cutoff condition, which is 3 in this case. I is automatically assumed to be 0. So I will be 0, and then it will increment to 1, and then 2, and then 3. However, when I does become 3, the computer checks to see if 3 is less than 3, which is false. So it will never execute on the exact condition you enter. Notice that this loop will execute 3 times, and we specified it exactly to execute 3 times in the range function. This loop will print 0, 1, and 2. If you wanted to be more specific with your for loop, you can actually specify the start condition as well. So you can use this by using 2 arguments. The first argument will specify what the initial value of I is. In this case, I will be equal to 1, and then the cutoff point will be 6. Eventually, the loop iterations will look something like this. The loop will run 5 times, because once I is equal to 6, the condition will test false. 6 is equal to 6 and not less than. This will print 1 through 5. For nested loops, we will have another loop within a loop. It's a good practice to consider that the outside loop will be the vertical loop, and the inside loop will print or run horizontally. To specify a print statement to run horizontally, we must use the end argument. By default, after a print statement executes in Python, it will drop down to a new line, but we can get around this by using end and then quote, space, end quote. So instead of dropping down a new line, it'll print a space. Makes it run horizontally instead of vertically. However, we still do need to specify or tell Python to drop down a line. We don't have a general print statement in there that does that. So what's going to happen is it's going to enter the first iteration of the vertical loop. So we're officially on the first row. Then it's going to run through the inner loop 4 times. As a result, a star will be printed 4 times, and instead of dropping down a line, it will be spaced horizontally. 4 stars will be printed horizontally. Once we're done printing 4 stars horizontally, we tell Python to drop down a line, at which point we enter the next iteration of the vertical loop. Lines 7 and 4 tie into each other. What do you think this will print? Well, we specified it's going to run vertically 4 times, and it's going to run horizontally 4 times. And it will be printing star throughout. What would happen if we did something like this? We switch vertical to 1 and horizontal to 5. Well, vertical is going to start at 0. That's this line here. And then we enter the for loop. And we already know this is going to run 5 times. In those 5 runs, it's going to print start. We should get one horizontal line of the asterisk printed 5 times. What if we reverse this? I will be equal to 0, and then it will enter the horizontal loop once. It will print 1 star horizontally. Once it's done, we will go into the vertical loop once again. In the horizontal loop, the inner loop, we will also print 1 star. Then we move on to the 3rd iteration of the vertical loop. This also prints 1 asterisk. Because horizontal is only printing 1 across, but we're going down to a total of 5 lines, we will get 1 star per line until we go down 5 lines. Let's look at another print pattern. The easiest thing to identify is the vertical loop. Remember, the vertical loop is the outside loop. Horizontal is the inside loop. How many vertical rows are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this part's easy. This will run 5 times. Which means the computer looks at this as 0 to 4. 5 is never reached. 5 numbers are printed. 5 is specified in the range. Now we need to do the horizontal loop. This is where it gets a bit tricky. So we need to identify the cutoff point for the horizontal printing. Do you notice a pattern? Notice that in vertical iteration 1, there is 1 value printed. In vertical iteration 3, in row 3, there are 3 items printed horizontally. And in the very last, the 5th row, there are 5 characters printed horizontally. This means that at each row, the cutoff point for the horizontal print depends on the row number. The outer loop number determines how many characters to print horizontally. The vertical position, row 1 or 2 or 3, will determine how many to print horizontally. This is our cutoff point. So we can see on vertical position 1, we only need to print 1 character. On vertical position 4, on the 4th row down, 4 characters need to be printed horizontally. Now we can write a print statement. It's important to remember to add the AND argument in the print statement to ensure they are printed horizontally, and to include your new line print statement once the horizontal loop is complete. The next question is to determine which number to print. This part's not hard. On the outside loop, or the vertical loop, iteration 1 prints number 1. Iteration 2 prints number 2. Iteration 4 prints number 4. The 4th row prints the number 4. The 4th vertical prints number 4. Now we need to modify our range function to begin at 1 instead of 0. So we want to begin at 1 and stop at 5. Remember, the cutoff condition needs to be 1 higher. At some point, this needs to be true. If we specify 5 as the cutoff point, this will never execute, and it will go from 1 to 4. Let's test it out. So the pattern looks good. We have the nice triangle shape we were looking for. But we forgot to put the number values in there. The number values are based off the vertical position. 1, 2, and vertical position 5 will print 5 repeating. So we can just type in vertical. What do you think would happen if we printed the horizontal position? Well, let's go through it. Vertical position 1. Enter loop. We look at this. So, for 0 in range of position 1, so this will only execute once. We are printing the horizontal counter, which we just said was 0. Go back up. Vertical position now goes from 1 to 2. This is the second run through, so vertical position is now equal to 2. For horizontal, again, which is defaulted to 0, in range of 2. Print horizontal, which is equal to 0. And then we go back up, and now horizontal is equal to 1. So we print 1. Then we go through it again, and now horizontal is equal to 2. Is 2 less than 2? No. Enter the third line. Vertical position is now equal to 3. For horizontal position, it completed its loop and has reset. So horizontal is now equal to 0. For 0 in range of vertical, which is 3. So while 0 is less than 3, print horizontal, and we just said horizontal is 0. Go back up. Horizontal is now 1. 1 is less than 3. Print that out. Horizontal is now equal to 2. Is 2 less than 3? Yes. Print that out. Horizontal now goes up to 3. Is 3 less than 3? No. It is equal to. Next line. Do you notice a pattern? Let's look at another print pattern. So, the first thing to look at is our outside loop, which runs vertical. How many vertical positions or increments are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this part's easy. Our inside loop. How many horizontal positions are there for each row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this also needs to run 5 times. Very quickly, we determined how many vertical rows need to be printed, and we determined how many horizontal positions per row need to be printed. These are the first 2 steps of writing nested loops. So, now we have 5 vertical rows and 5 print characters going across. Do you notice anything different about this? Well, the X should jump out. That's unique. But where does the X appear? This X appears at vertical position 1 and horizontal position 1. This X appears on the second row. It's vertical position 2, second row. Horizontal position 2. This one here. Row 3, vertical 3, and horizontal 3. Do you notice any similarities? Because this X printout is unique and depends on a condition, we need an if statement. vertical position is equal to the horizontal position, in all cases, we will print out X. If it isn't, we're simply going to print our dash symbol. Remember, our horizontal print statements require that end argument so that they do not print vertically. Then, for our vertical operations, we need to tell Python or the program to drop down a line. How does that look? So what happens is, first the program will say, all right, vertical line 1, let's jump right into this, okay? Vertical line 1, let's jump in. And now it has to do its horizontal operations. Just the way it is, horizontal operations are represented in a loop format. That's all. So we look at the horizontal and we say, well, that needs to run 5 lines. So we need to run 5 horizontal operations on 1 vertical operation. And we specify that if the vertical position is equal to the horizontal position, we need to print X. Otherwise, the default is to print a dash symbol. And we had to add in the end argument just to make sure everything did go horizontal as we wanted it to. Once we're completely done with all of this, the horizontal loop, once all of our horizontal operations are done for that 1 vertical row, then we have to drop down a row. Then we go up here, and now we're in vertical position 2. And then we run our horizontal operations again. Once we're done that, we drop down a line, we create a new space, and then we go straight into vertical position 3. I hope this made sense. Let me know how I can improve my video.